and welcome to Ben's Works. On this week's episode, I'm going to take this piece of leftover curly red oak. Now this is the same piece left over from my firewood project, and we're going to make an awesome pendant. So the way I'm going to make this pendant is I've picked myself up one of these silicone ashtray molds, and I'm going to hopefully break this in half, and I'm going to put half at the top and half at the bottom. Then I'm going to take some of my resin. This is the Just Resin Art Cast resin with the fast set hardener. Now I'm not too sure if I want to go ahead and use these inks as a mix-in or whether or not I want to go for the metallic powders. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to snap this in half and then maybe cut it up on the bandsaw just so it's the right size to fit in this mold. So now that they're cut to size, you can see that they fit nicely in the mold. So the next thing to do now is to mix our resin up and pour it in between. I nearly forgot, make sure when you're playing with the resin, put a silicone mat down. It just helps to protect your workbench. That way anything you spill can easily peel off. Now before I mix in my part B hardener, I'm going to try these inks and I'm going to put it in part A first. So I put 7 drops into 60 ml and that turned out quite nice. It's kind of blue like the ocean. It's got a nice look to it. Now I'm going to pour in my hardener. So once we're happy with the position, we can go ahead and pour it in. Now as you can see, you'll start to get little bubbles forming. Now the best way to get rid of them is to take your blowtorch, and it doesn't take much, just some light quick passes over the top. It'll bring all the bubbles to the surface and it'll pop them. So it's now the next day, and after the camera stopped rolling last night, I did happen to grab some white ink and I thought I'd play around, and I added some white ink in the middle here. Unfortunately the resin started to cure on me and I didn't have time to swirl it how I wanted. So I think the best thing to do now is just take it over to the lathe and I'll turn it down to the size that I want and the shape that I want, and we'll just see what we end up with. I'm just going to attach this to the lathe using some hot glue and then we'll get started. So I've got that to the size I want now. The next step I'm going to do is start sanding and then we'll finish it up. Now I'm just going to run through some micro mesh. So I just finished that off with a bit of mineral oil. It's come up quite nice. So to make the colour stand out a bit more, I'm just going to spray the back of this with some gloss white. So the only thing left to do now is stick a magnet on the back, and we've got ourselves a fridge magnet. So originally this was going to be a pendant, but I changed my mind halfway through. We turned it into a fridge magnet and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I was a bit unsure about the white swirl that I attempted in the middle, but you know what? It kind of looks like a wave crashing in the middle there. So in the end, I think it turned out pretty good. Now unfortunately, I have a stainless steel fridge, but I do have a steel bandsaw.